Hello, my friend. Welcome to the Living in Sync podcast. I'm your host, Joelle, and today I am going to be doing a Q&A. I threw up a question box on Instagram, and while the question box hasn't been up for very long, I've gotten some really high quality questions that I know I'm going to cover with tangents and rambles. Know thyself. So we're going to have a really, really great episode today that covers a lot of topics. If you have a question for me, or if anything ever comes to mind where you would love if I covered a certain episode on the podcast, truly send me a DM and I would love to seek that inspiration from you, or you can leave it in a review. So if you have a favorite topic or thing that I talk and share about, leave a review of the podcast wherever you listen. And that I always see those. I always appreciate those. I always love those. So I will see that and be able to make specific episodes cater to what you guys love. And what I'm finding is what you guys love is casual conversation, but with tangible tips and takeaways that don't feel so heavy. And that's the type of podcast that I really like listening to as well. Recently, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a decade of consuming personal development and personal growth, that I just really love these casual comfort style episodes, content, whatever it is. So first question is, am I still cycle syncing? And I love this question so much because if you've been around here for a long time, you know that understanding my cycle really helped put the piece of the puzzle together for me. And I have so many previous episodes on understanding your cycle, getting to know your cycle, how to work out in alignment with your cycle, how to eat in alignment with your cycle, how to understand your mood, energy, and emotion based on your cycle, and motherhood in your cycle. I have energy and productivity. Like, I have so much content based on your cycle. Now, I still very much use the Stardust app to track my cycle. Like the first day of menstrual phase, I am making sure to put that into my app just so then I have insight kind of on what day I'm at in my cycle. But I don't pay attention to it daily, and I also don't use it to dictate my everyday life anymore. I want to be very clear that I think cycle syncing helps you have a better understanding of your biology and takes away that question of, why am I feeling this way? Why was it last week I was feeling XYZ, or last week I didn't have very many cravings, but now I feel like I have all these sugar cravings. I can't control my hunger cues, or I'm really moody and low energy. Why do I have zero patience with my kids this week? It really helps in that way. It was after my second son was born, and obviously sleep deprivation and postpartum hormones had something to do with this. But I really just felt like I've described it on other hormone episodes before, where it's like my changes of my phases felt like big tidal wave crashes. Instead of, rocking in a boat, knowing that there's waves, knowing that there's fluctuations in the water. Instead, it was like I was really noticing and recognizing in luteal phase, I had anxiety, depression, very low energy, very low motivation, noticing and recognizing all of the things in my life that was going wrong, even to the point where I was like, I don't want to say making things up in my head, but everything just seemed worse than what it actually was. And that, noticing that it was like month over month over month, this was happening 5 to 7 days before my menstrual phase started. I then first understood, I do need to get my hormones in check. And I have taken supplements like Baseline Plus to really help my hormonal fluctuations. Swear by it. You guys, Baseline Plus, if I ever take a break from that supplement, I do notice a big difference. And so then I hop back on it. I really feel like I have done a good job of balancing my hormones. That may be because I am now so far away from postpartum. I'm getting regular good night quality sleep and a lot of other factors. But I also still cycle sync in the sense and understanding of mood and irritability and low energy. So during late luteal, if I'm feeling like I need to take a nap to restore my energy, then I will. When it comes to workouts, I will go with how my body feels. And I actually just listened to a podcast episode on this from Melissa Kemper about how you really just want to get that feedback day to day, because for some athletes, you're going to feel okay in other phases, and other times it's just not going to feel good. And so to just show up as you are, and especially when you're training for something in your programming, but listening to your body and using that even outside of cycle syncing, because there are definitely days where if in ovulation I'm really fatigued and I'm really, really tired, I'm going to listen to my body instead of pushing itself just because I'm in ovulation phase. I'm not going to be like, okay, well, in ovulation phase, this, and this, and this, and this is what is taught in syncing with your cycle. So I'm going to go do those things. Like if I feel like being a really big introvert during my ovulation phase, I'm going to listen to my body. Just like if I'm feeling really good and I'm doing a run or a workout and I'm feeling like I want to push myself, I'm not going to hold myself back just because I'm in luteal phase or just because I'm in menstrual phase. What I have noticed is that day one of menstrual phase, I tend to want to take a rest day or just walk and do mobility. That has been consistent for me, but that may be different for everybody, or that may be different based on a different month. So yes and no to the am I still cycle syncing? Yes, I'm still aware of where I'm at in my cycle, but I'm not dictating my day-to-day on it. But I also think that it's very beneficial to know and to understand, like, I still love saying the biggest hormone myth debunker is when we are menstruating, our hormones are not going crazy, they're at their lowest. And I think even if you have young girls who are starting to go through puberty or just understanding thyself when you are in menstrual phase, that it makes sense energy is lower. Your hormones are not going crazy, they're at their lowest. So you can kind of bring that better understanding to your body and biology by just having this slight level of awareness. And so you're not beating yourself up or you're feeling like you're not in tune with your body, just knowing a lot. And then when it comes to nutrition and my cycle, right now my nutrition is coming at a different space and place of I'm now taking in information that is nutrition based for athletes and training and fuel and recovery. So I'm paying attention to my own body cues. And yes, that does mean like kind of stretching myself to hunger so I can actually feel hunger and stopping eating halfway through. So I'm paying attention to, okay, how full am I actually? Can I take a moment to just chill instead of scarf my face mindlessly? So I'm doing a lot of different things with nutrition, but what I will say is I do know in luteal phase, knowing that our body is more sensitive to blood sugar and needing more support with blood sugar regulation. So I'm eating a bit more frequently. I'm not doing fasts in late luteal phase unless it feels really good and feels really natural. I notice for me, when I wake up in late luteal phase, I'm hungry. I'm ready for breakfast. So I eat. And I'm trying to eat blood sugar balancing meals. I'm also playing around with different things to eat pre-workout to see what sits well in my body. I've struggled with acid reflux for years and years and years, so I'm really trying to pay attention to what foods cause issues with my reflux and what foods sit well in my stomach. So with nutrition, when it comes to understanding my cycle, I am eating probably 4 meals throughout the day in late luteal, whereas in other phases, I'm probably more around 3 meals a day, and that does really well for me. The next one is, what are some of my intentions for 2025? And I would say the main one that I have for 2025 is continuing to live one day at a time and to work with what today gives me, to take each day as it comes. And this was something that I started implementing and being intentional about a lot in 2024. And I think it served me well because, I'm a mom and there are days where my kids have sicknesses and they stay home from school. I also am an entrepreneur, and there are some days where I have a lot for my client load and some days that I don't. And I really was trying to schedule things out to be super perfect, super planned out. And now I really am living by the phrase of living one day at a time, and that I get everything done on time and in time. Because I think I was always putting more pressure on myself to get things done at a certain time because I didn't think I would have enough time to get things done. When I say that out loud, I'm like, that's really crazy. And did that even make sense? Because it sounded like a lot of word salad. But truly, I had this internal feeling of I don't have enough time to get things done. And now I really had to rewrite it and also look for the proof. And my clients have been so helpful in this, where when week over week, no matter what, I've gotten things done on time. Yes, that does mean sometimes I'm working 7 days a week, but maybe that's only for a couple hours, 7 days a week. And it is entirely different, and it is so okay for this season of my life. And I'm not worried about the future. I'm not worried about the vision that is, or the 5-year plan or the 10-year plan. Let me get on this soapbox, because I think, yes, sometimes having that vision and that 10-year or 5-year plan for yourself is so good. And I've talked about the telescope and microscope vision. And now my telescope vision isn't necessarily like, I'm going to make this amount, or like back in my network marketing days, it was, I'm going to hit this rank and I'm going to do this. I'm going to have this many people on my team. All of those things were really uncontrollables, right? But now my telescope vision is health and vitality and strength and movement and having a great relationship with my husband and my kids and being a really great member of our community and things like that. It's different and it's not as clear pictured. But today, my microscope vision is I know exactly the clients that I have to work on today. I know the things that I want to get done. I know the things that are in my control. And day over day, month over month, year over year, that will add up to a life well lived. And I'm not so worried about rigidity in my schedule or needing to know the clarity of what I'm going to be doing in 5 to 10 years, because I trust God. I really trust God to put together the puzzle pieces. And it was actually something that I was talking to with one of my just amazing friends who is a woman of faith that has so much knowledge and wisdom about the Bible. And I was saying to her, with my podcast production business, that I love it and I'm so grateful for it. And I am sometimes having these pinch myself moments of like, this is working and I'm really good at this and I really enjoy it and it's working really well for this season of my life. If God came and told me, go get a regular job, stop working and quote unquote just be a mom, I would be happy and content with any of those callings. Whereas back in my network marketing days, you guys, I used to wake up in a cold, dead sweat at the fear of my business being taken away from me, and how crazy that it literally actually happened in 2024. And I used to fear it so bad that I would have nightmares about it. And so I had asked this friend, does that mean that this podcast production business isn't important to me? And she looked at me dead in the face and she said, Joelle, I think it means that it's not an idol and it's not attached to your identity. Whereas my network marketing business was my idol. It was attached to my identity very heavily throughout my 14 years of it. And that's on me. And that's also on me being in my early 20s doing it, because I think a lot of you guys could maybe relate to like, oh, I went to school to be this, but I found out I didn't actually care for it. So now I'm doing this type of job, but like, I'm not using my degree. So what? So what? Detach it from your identity. It was a stepping stone that got you to where you are today. Network marketing got me to where I am today in a very profound way. And instead of feeling ashamed or feeling embarrassed that it's no longer in my life anymore, I feel proud of the stepping stone that it was in my life. And there are times where I, am listening to podcasts or listening to other people talking about making a vision and making a plan or knowing where you're going so you can be a really great leader in empowering other people to be there. And sometimes I'm just like, yes, and it's also okay to just know I'm taking things one day at a time and trusting God, because God's plan is better than mine. And yes, I ask God to show me the plan and the vision for my life that He wants, but God doesn't work that way. I don't think. I think God shows us one next right step at a time, and it ends up being a life where you look back and you think, man, this is better than I could have even imagined. I used to say that a lot in network marketing, that network marketing gave me a life better than I could imagine. And now, once again, I know not to place the credit on the network marketing, but place the credit on God and how things have just really unfolded. And podcast production is something that I love doing. And I'm so wildly grateful for where it's at right now. And also, I'm not attached to it. It's not my identity. It's not my idol. And that feels really good to be building a business with that in mind. But even with fitness and nutrition, the taking it one day at a time and having, the telescope vision for my life, where it's like, I want to be the grandparent that can walk 15,000 steps around Disney with the kids and go on the rides with them and all of that stuff. I have that telescope vision for longevity with my health and wellness. And I have the microscope vision of today, where when I was doing my leg workout and when I got after my intervals, I understood the purpose that it was serving in my training for a 10K, and knowing that it's bringing a blend of strength training and power to my muscles. So I'm really developing in a well-rounded way as an athlete. And this leads into the next one, where it was about success in business. And it's definitely really different because I'm talking from the sense of a service-based business, not a selling-based business. I think if I was selling courses or if I was selling coaching, it'd be entirely different advice. And also, I tried those models and I didn't see the quote unquote success that felt right for me. Felt like I was putting a lot of energy and effort into it when there was progress and I was serving people. Like when I was creating the courses on living in sync with your cycle, the time management course, I really do stand by those things that I taught and have given to other or have sold. But right now my business is in sales. So I will credit my business right now to my network. Like, honestly, my network has been the absolute best. The absolute best. People that I have met years over years over years, people referring people to me, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. Networking has brought in more clients to my podcast production business than the typical social media marketing methods. Okay. I really, really, really have just been so blown away that doing business outside, and Shalene Johnson talked about this on her Patreon. I'm a member of her Patreon, and she talked about why she isn't teaching marketing and sales anymore. And she really did say, like, the landscape has changed, and you used to be able to do these things in a certain way, and now it's different. And what has worked for me in building my podcast production service-based business is networking. And some people would say, like, oh, well, I don't want to get into service-based because with service-based, there's a cap. Like, I have a cap and I'm pretty much at my capacity right now for clients that I can take on because I only have a certain number of time in the day. But I now understand myself that it's me sitting down and doing the work. It's me sitting down and getting into work that does fuel me and fulfill me. And I'm not going to get emotional, but like I'm choking a little bit saying this. I do feel so grateful that when our kids have asked us why we work, my husband and I, we say because we like to work. We do have the work ethic where we enjoy what we do. And yes, are there stressors in his job and my job and everybody's jobs? Yeah, 100%. But truly, when I come into my office, when my kids are at school, and I, knock out 2 full production podcast episodes and I get that taken care of for clients, and then I have communication time with my clients, and that just fills my cup, and I close the computer and I go be mom. And that's oftentimes why you guys don't see me posting social media content, because right now I'm at capacity. And when I create social media content, I attract clients. And right now I don't have the capacity to add on more clients unless they are coming from a referral. Then I will take them into consideration. Now, just because I've been doing podcast production for a while now, I do understand that there's ebbs and flows of clients taking a podcast break, some clients just realizing like podcasting isn't a fit for the ecosystem of their business at this time. So I do have some clients that end our contract, and it has worked in my favor that there has been, a pretty consistent rotation of people inquiring versus people not coming in as a client anymore. This spring, I actually, in the next month, I'm going to be really onboarding 2 really fabulous and amazing clients that I'm so excited to produce for, that I'm really happy being in service-based because it's month over month. So if I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, let's say 8-ish clients a month, and with podcast production, they're using me for like, some of my clients have been with me for as long as I've been doing this. And some have been, we do a year and a half, or 2 years. And that's month over month. I'm not looking for new clients every single month. And that feels right, being service-based for this season of life that I'm in. It really, really does. So I'm just very grateful. And maybe this part is not of interest to you, but I think more people need to pull back the curtain of this online entrepreneurship, this even influencers where they put on this persona of this is the best job in the world. Even the best jobs in the world have positives and negatives to them. And some things where it's like, oh my gosh, I would never want to do that. Even if I got paid so much money, I wouldn't want to do that. And that's okay. Like, and that should be talked about more. I don't think I meant to say that's okay. I think I meant to say, I think that needs to be talked about more, because something that is right for someone isn't right for the next person. Just like the people who tell me like, oh, don't just overload yourself with service-based clients. Like, but you're going to hit a cap. You're going to hit a cap. That's fine. But also when it comes to selling a course or selling something like that, you're constantly needing to bring in more and more and more people. Whereas I'm serving one person over time. And like I said, it's like right now I'm in a rotation of 8. And yeah, so it's just different strokes for different folks, I guess, if you boiled it down to one thing. The next question, just 2 left, you guys. How do I stay so motivated and not burn out? So I think that goes back to, the wisdom that I've shared throughout this episode of listening to my body. On the days where I am feeling exhausted, tired, and fatigued, I listen to myself. On Saturday, I kind of had a realization of, Joelle, you actually haven't taken a day off in, you guys, it's February 17th. I probably haven't taken an actual day off since January 1st. Like I said, sometimes it's just working for 2 hours and I knock out an episode in 2 hours on a Sunday. I literally had to do that Sunday. But Saturday, I was like, I am taking a full day off. And I did. And that felt really good. So I'm listening to myself. I'm taking it one day at a time. And then when it comes to motivation, I just want to say, I don't follow the feeling, I follow the plan. I don't always do what feels good. I don't always feel what I want to do. And I've talked about this before. I think there's some people where they do need that message of like, pay attention to what your body is saying, and don't burn yourself to the ground. I'm not saying that at all, but I am saying the days that I don't feel like working out and then I get a workout in, I often end the workout feeling so on fire and so pumped up and so glad that I did, that I stopped having the pre-banter with myself when it came to my workouts. And then I started doing that in other areas of my life. Yes, there are times where I'm getting ready for the day and I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling like just sitting at my desk and, doing this stuff and getting to my to-do list. I definitely have days where I feel like that. But then at the end of the day, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad to have at least tackled something. And maybe it's not tackling everything. Maybe it's picking a priority of 3 and doing those 3 things and then being like, that's what I have the capacity for today. So understanding capacity, but I don't know, I'm starting to think like, follow the plan, not the feeling, serves me. It's not going to serve everybody. Some people are going to be like, ew, I don't like that advice, but it's been helpful to me, because even in those moments where I follow the plan and not the feeling, for example, I'm understanding that me being a small, petite person, I just require less calories. So me eating a small, medium, or large Dairy Queen Blizzard is not going to serve my body. So when we went to Dairy Queen after wrestling, we kind of did a little mini wrestling season celebration. It being over, we went to Dairy Queen and I got a mini Blizzard. And I guess the idea didn't cross me to do a small, but now I just have a better understanding of like, when it comes to things like that, I'm just going to pay attention to my portions. I'm just a smaller person. I've got to pay attention to my portions. I don't need a medium or large or small, medium Blizzard. A mini does just fine. And follow the plan, not the feeling. So that prevents me from not burning out. But I also think if you hit that level of burnout, have some reflection and reflect on what got you there. What changes are in your control to make so you can refresh, recenter, and work in a sustainable way. I am an ambitious person. I am somebody who I would classify as a high performer. I'm efficient. I am effective. I'm a generator in human design. I am a Leo in the astrology stuff with a lot of Virgo and Capricorn in me. If that doesn't mean anything to you, if you know what that means, then take it or leave it. But that tells you a lot about me, and just having that better understanding of myself, that's really served me a lot in staying motivated and not burning out and letting go of the pre-banter conversation. I don't give myself the conversation of, I don't feel like it, I don't feel like it, I don't feel like it. I often just put on my workout clothes and drink my pre-workout and I get it done. Or I get into my office, I make that to-do list and I start tackling a task. And then I notice on the other end that I'm feeling great. Last one is, what's your karaoke go-to song? Actually, thank you for asking, because this is a story that not many people know about me, but it is something that I look back on my childhood and I'm grateful for, because I have cousins that are amazing singers. They're absolutely amazing. And we would go to like a small town bar and restaurant for karaoke, however you say it. And they would sing their hearts out. At that time, me being younger than them, I was like, oh, I'm going to be cute and get up there and I'd sing Shania Twain. And then it was just like people cheered for me because I was a little kid getting up there to sing. And I remember waiting for my turn and feeling so nervous and like sweaty. And I'd get up there and sing and people would like cheer when I'd sing, let's go girls. You know, I was just like a little itty bitty thing, just confidence boosting. Now as an adult, my singing voice isn't great, but it is fun. So I'll stick to something like Down on the Farm by Tim McGraw. Like 90s country does carry like a really kind of flat, monotone, average singing. So I can get down to Down on the Farm by Tim McGraw. And that's usually my go-to. I don't go do karaoke as an adult, but you know, sometimes if there's a group of girls going up there to sing something, like I'll grab a mic too. This literally hasn't happened in like recent years. But what's cool is this last summer in 2024, we went to a small town parade of my husband's hometown, and they had in the little like pavilion karaoke for the kids. And my oldest got up there and sang John Deere Green. And he was so nervous beforehand. Like my husband was sitting with him. He said he is just so nervous, but he wants to do it. He sang John Deere Green and the crowd was so sweet. Like people cheering. Sean and I were cheering. And I was getting teary-eyed because I know it's those moments that are such confidence builders, and they teach stepping out and doing something uncomfortable, and it's going to be okay. And isn't people's biggest fear public speaking? Maybe I have developed a non-fear of public speaking because of that. And I had a microphone in my hand a couple times when I was young. I don't know. But Bryce sang John Deere Green, and it was one of my favorite highlights of 2024. Just so proud of him. So proud of him. And he finished, and of course he was super proud of himself too. And we talked about that. We really talked about that. How'd you feel beforehand? My youngest son wrestled, and when he was done wrestling at the tournament this weekend, he goes, Mom, when we got here, I was feeling really nervous. And I said, yeah, and how do you feel now? And he was like, good. And, you know, just simple words for simple feelings. It was like, you feel proud of yourself? And he was like shaking his head. And I'm like, that is all that matters. You guys, my boys have Bryce got second in a tournament, but Jace, my youngest, his first tournaments, he got fourth place in a 4-man bracket. We treated him as in he won because we saw progress, we saw strength, we saw growth, we saw so much in him. And even in sports, that could be a podcast for another day. I would love to have an expert come on and talk about that, where it's like the goal of sports and the goal of these things, singing karaoke when you're a kid, it's not about being a good singer. It's not about getting first place. It's about really developing life skills and seeing those lessons and like gaining that confidence from doing something outside of your comfort zone. So I don't know if you are leaving this episode with anything today. I hope at least one little thing stuck out to you and serves you in, doing something for you, or stepping out of your comfort zone, or trying something new, or living one day at a time, or understanding your biology better. I don't know what it is for you that's going to stick with you today, but thanks for spending this time with me. I really, really appreciate it. And if you could leave a rating and review for the show, if you are enjoying how the podcast episodes are going in 2025, please take a screenshot, share it on social media, and tag me. I would really, really love that. And it also helps the show grow. Tell your friends about the podcast, and I will talk to you next time. Bye. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you loved what you heard or you want to share your favorite episode topics, please leave a rating and review. This helps the podcast growth and gives people an idea of what the podcast is all about. Something new and exciting that I wanted to share with you before we go is that we now have a Patreon page. This has replaced the Feminine Edge collective community in a cohesive place that is easier for me to manage and cheaper for you. If you are interested in our monthly classes, exclusive day in the life vlogs, Bible studies, community Q&A, and more, go to patreon.com/livingInSync and join for just $5 a month. Check out the show notes for any links or details of things referenced in today's episode, and I look forward to chatting with you in the next one.